What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel, Euro Superbike Life. Today we are finally changing the radiator and installing some Samco hoses on my track day BMW S1000RR right after this. Welcome back, guys. My name is Derek. Welcome to my channel, Euro Superbike Life. I know I've been saying it for a while, but today we are actually going to remove this radiator because I broke it by accident, and we're going to replace these hoses with some Samco silicone hoses. As you can see, I've already removed the front wheel and got some of that stuff out of the way. I'm not exactly sure how much talking I'm going to do because I really need to get this done. I got a track day this coming Sunday, and I need to get this bike ready. But without further ado, let's head on over to my tool chest and I'll show you some of the tools you're going to need to remove the radiator and the hoses. We are over here at the radiator, and the radiator is held on with 5 bolts. So there are 2 at the top, one here, one up under there that you can barely see right there. One here that's mounted to the oil cooler, one on the other side that's mounted to the oil cooler, and then one right here that's mounted to a brace. So we're going to remove all 5 of those, but before we do that, I have to remove these rad guards, which are just held on with safety wire. So let's do that first. Rad guards removed. Okay, all the safety wires off, the rad guards are removed. As you can see, there's still some rocks in there, but overall the radiator is still really good intact. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take off all of the accessories that are attached to the radiator over on the left side. And you're definitely going to need your wire snips here. Get all this other stuff off. Don't need that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the 2 screws that connect this to the oil cooler. Always want to try to keep your work area clean. Last thing you want to be doing is throwing away nuts and bolts because you think they're debris or garbage. All right, so the oil cooler is released. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loosen the 2 nuts and bolts up here and pull out the pins, and I'll show you what they look like. So there you go. Here are the clips that hold on tight. And like I said, you just need to loosen up the screw and then grab these and slide this out. You don't need to take the entire screw all the way out. Okay. Now the top of the radiator is free. We have a few items that we still need to disconnect. Don't want to lose these washers. Get this one out. In theory. There we go. Out comes the washer. So now what I'm going to do is there's our hose up here clamped to the radiator. I'm just going to grab my channel locks and pinch these off These aren't double ear clamps like my last one, so I don't have to worry about breaking these exactly. Slide that down. Hey, look at that. I didn't break this one this time. Okay, so we are off there. We are still held on in the bottom. And I want to make sure that there's nothing else over here that's connected. So there are a number of wires connected to the radiator. And they are all a pain in the behind. Recording. Okay, so we have another zip tie wire in here. Clip that off. And another one here. Okay. Okay, so I have all of the wires and everything off the radiator now, both sides. I believe the only thing holding it on is the center pin here and this radiator hose. So I'm going to grab my channel locks and just slide this back. Again, it's not a double ear, but we got a new radiator, so if I break it, it's no big deal. And we may lose a little bit of coolant here. Not overly concerned about that. Put that up there. Okay, so I think the only thing holding us on now is this center pin here. And there we go. Don't lose your grommet, because we are going to need that. This guy here, don't lose that. But as you can see, we got the radiator out. And there is the broken nub that's supposed to be there. All right, so we're going to put this aside. We're actually going to, we have our fan on here, so I'm going to swap the fan off of this one onto the new radiator. Excuse me, you can't see that. So we have our fan on the back, so I'm going to swap the fan off of this one, put it on our other radiator, my new to me radiator, and then we'll go about installing this thing. So before we do that, I just want to let you guys know that this video is probably going to be a little bit longer than planned. It's certainly going to be longer than 15 minutes, so this is going to be the exception to the rule, but I'm probably going to speed up some of those areas so you don't have to watch me individually move wires and things of that nature. The other thing is, I want to make sure you guys know, I don't know why I feel like I have to do this, but I'm not a trained technician. Everything that I've learned and everything that I know is over the course of 30 years, 30 plus years, oh my God, I'm dating myself, over 30 plus years of riding, owning, and wrenching on bikes. And I like European bikes, and they're more expensive than your other bikes. So in order to be able to afford them, I had to learn to wrench on them. So rather than taking them to the dealer and paying ridiculous amounts of money for things like an oil change. So again, I'm not an expert. What I say, take what I say with a grain of salt. These are just my opinions on how to do things and how I go about doing them. All right? So let's break for a second. I'll swap these over, this fan over. It's pretty simple. It's 1, 2, 3 on the bottom here. And I'll just swap it over, put it on the other one, and then we'll be right back. Before we reinstall the radiator, if you remember my last episode, I sprung a little bit of an oil leak. It was more of a weeping than anything with my cam chain tensioner here. This is a manual cam chain tensioner. It's not stock OEM. And I sprung a little bit of a leak here. So what I was able to do is I was able to remove this, and there are some O-rings internal. So I just replaced the O-rings. So we're going to see if that works rather than replacing the entire cam chain tensioner. It was about, I don't know, 60 to 80 bucks depending on where you get it from. So just wanted to let you guys know, because I know we had planned on replacing this, and instead of replacing the entire unit, I just replaced the O-rings. So here is my new to me radiator with the fan already installed, so it's ready to go back in. So we're just going to do our best not to wreck any of the fins here. As you see, it has all of the nubs that it's supposed to have, and I didn't break them off. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall this, in reverse order, and then we'll get to the hoses. I'm going to take my Torx T30, and you can see this one's kind of jacked up, but it's the one I have right now. But I'm going to take my Torx T30 bit, and I'm just going to back out this screw a little bit to give myself a little bit more room for the washer and the clip. All right, see that? Now the groove is plenty exposed. I have plenty of room for the washer and the clip. So I'm going to put the washer on there, and then the clip. Clip goes right in the groove, and now I can just tighten that back down. Really need to get me another quality Torx bit here for T30 because it's pretty popular. And this one is all bent and screwed up. All right, so there we go. All right, so the radiator's back in place. It's bolted on top, bolted with the center pin right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our two screws and mate up the oil cooler to the bottom of the radiator. And these are T25 Torx. And with these, you just want to make sure that you at least start the screw by hand so you don't cross thread these. Again, because there's no replacing this part on the radiator. So I got it started there. Make sure that I'm not cross-threaded. Get this hose out of the way. Okay, that's one side. Let's tighten the other. That's the other side. Okay, so our radiator's back in place. All 5 connection spots, so 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom here for the oil cooler, and 1 pin in the middle for the bracket. We're all back in place, so now what we're going to do is just reverse order, put all the wires back where they go, and we're going to put our rad screens on. Same way I took them off, you just put them on in reverse order. You guys don't need to see that, so I'll go and do that off camera, and when I come back, we'll be ready to put on the Samco hoses. So be right back, guys. Welcome back, guys. As you can see, the radiator's back in place. We got our rad guards all on and everything. All the wiring and safety wire is back in place, and we are good to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move around to the top of the bike. As you can see, I lowered the table already, and we're going to start removing these hoses. So let me move you around to the back and top of the bike so you can see where the hoses connect under the airbox here. now all we're left with is the cut to fit or cut to length hose. This here. For these hoses that come off the top here and to our overflow tank. So let's get our overflow tank, we'll put that on, and then we'll be just about done, guys. Here's our overflow tank, guys, and if you remember, this thing from the last episode was pretty cruddy, and as you can see, I cleaned it up pretty good. No more sludge and crap and crud in there. So what we have to do is we have to mount this back in place, which goes right here. We'll grab our screw. This is a T30 Torx. Oops. Right here. Okay. And now we have to cut this hose to length. So here's our first hose, and you want to be fairly precise with this because they don't give you much overage, okay? So we need one piece that comes off of here, then runs all the way down, and then we need one hose that comes off of here and just runs to the underside here. So I'm just going to measure this out and literally cut it to length right there. Okay. I'm going to cut it right there, all right? And this other one just goes from here to here. Now, these silicone hoses are always thicker than your standard hoses, so they almost never fit in this channel. But we're going to see what happens. All right, so let me see. I probably want the hose clamp on the bottom. All right, just like that. And it's going to come around to here, just like that. So I'm going to put the top on first, and then I'm going to run this down and then cut it to length. Okay. Try not to break this one. And that goes right on here and looks about right there. I think right about there. I'm just gonna snug this on. That one doesn't need a clamp. There we go. And then we're going to take this one and put this one on. I don't like it being on the inside of the fairing there. And we'll do that. Bring it down behind here like so. That's in place, that's in place. That goes on here. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of my BMW track bike build, guys. We got our new to us, technically used radiator installed. We got our white Samco hoses installed. And in the next episode, what we'll do is we'll get the front wheel, we'll get the fender, we'll get the tank, everything on. We will fill the system and we'll flush it with distilled water a few times first. And then we'll do a final fill with distilled water and water wetter. We'll bleed the system and then we're gonna take it for a quick spin around the block, make sure that we don't have any leaks or anything like that. And then I think this bike will be ready to go for this Sunday. I'm at Arizona Motorsports Park again, riding with Excel Track Days. And this one is sponsored by Go AZ Motorcycles in Scottsdale. And we're going counterclockwise on the track this time. So I've been here a couple of times, but I've never ridden the track counterclockwise. Nevertheless, if you like this video, please click like. And if you didn't, smash it as always. Leave me a comment and please don't forget to subscribe. I am Derek. This is Euro Superbike Life. Until next time, guys, take care.